We are live on Facebook, and man, am I excited for our time today. Lars Hedenborg, founder of Real Estate B School, and I've got Dan Gorfinkle out of Greater Boston. Dan sold $35 million worth of real estate last year, and he plays the game of real estate at the highest level in his market. And anytime we get someone that's playing the game of real estate at a high level and leaves a premier brand, like, we just want to sort of decipher and decode why that might have happened. So Dan, give us a little bit of background kind of on your real estate journey, how you play the game of real estate. I think your off season, on season thing, I think is a thing worth mentioning. So just kind of let us get to know you a little bit. We'll start with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I've been in the business since 2006. It's coming up on, 17, 18 years that I've been selling real estate. And I started off at Remax. I was there for about 12 years, just wrapped up with Compass after 3 years. One thing I realized after at least the past half decade or more, I realized that it really comes down to who we are as the brand more than, a Compass or a Remax or even an eXp. So I think with that in mind, it was not a hard decision to hop over to eXp, even in light of leaving the senior vice president role of Compass and selling 35 million a year. I would say that as far as like my head reasons for doing this, I mean, really the equivalent of giving away 2 luxury automobiles back to Compass in the form of the commission splits, it just was something that I couldn't take anymore. And I realized that, as tried and tested and snazzy a brand as Compass is, I actually netted more money when I sold homes with Remax. And so funny enough, like my tax guy one time, he was like, geez, why is your income going down? And the reality was it was just selling the same level of homes, same production, but had to give back more to the brand. And so in so doing, I'd always kind of discounted eXp for years because it didn't seem to have the same cachet that some of the other brands did. But at this point in time, I mean, it's such a tidal wave of new agents coming on to eXp. I mean, I think we were at 35,000 agents a little over a year ago, now 75,000 agents today. And so what's to come is, the law of doubling and tripling and who knows what. I mean, it was just too hard to ignore. But anyway, that's where I am now. Excited.
Yeah, awesome. And I want to make sure I clarify something. You said there's so many new agents coming to eXp. What he meant by that is agents that are not at eXp coming to eXp, because at this point, many of most markets' top agents and teams and brokerages are coming to eXp. So just a different way to say what you just said. But let's unpack without picking on Compass, because they are building a system, a machine that is unlike what the industry has seen before. Yet at the same time, it's just a very, very sexy hamster wheel, right? So it's the tech, the branding, this illusion that the brokerage. And so let's open up the conversation to, like, any brokerage wants you to think that they're successful because of the brokerage. So just talk about that a little bit. You've been in the business for many years. You're smart enough to know, and you actually saw the numbers that, hey, I did, whatever, 35 million, like that's kind of my number. And it didn't change when I went to Compass, even though they want me to think that it's end all be all as Compass. So talk a little bit about you and your discipline and how your mindsets work and the skills that you've obtained that no brokerage can ever teach you, and how now you're just choosing to put it on a different platform. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that just really brings it into the foreground, Lars. I mean, the reality is, like I said initially, it just has nothing to do with the brand. We are our own brands. As long as we're authentic and true to our clients and just remain who we are, that's all that really matters. And the thing is, hopping from one brand to the next, that sometimes agents think they're chasing that shiny penny. The reality is, it still becomes the hamster wheel of selling real estate year in and year out. Whatever I've kind of have my internal temperature set to, be it 35 million that I've been just doing like clockwork. I'll be able to do that at eXp. And I think of more, equal importance is eXp is the only brand that allows you to earn residual income by attracting other agents into the brand. I think that's a huge point to consider. And I think that, again, the reality is, whether someone purports to have the best technology or the best lead generating platform or whatever it is, for me to take my brand, Gorfinkle Group Real Estate, and put it on top of the platform of eXp, that umbrella is just so comforting, and it feels so good to do that.
Yeah. So I love the way you say it, because I've started to call it a platform as well. Where like there are still so many sort of like really strong local brokerages that sort of command an area, like, not to pick on Charlotte, but in our region, there's like Allen Tate is massive. I mean, they have like 2,500 agents or something. And they want every one of those agents to believe that without that name, they can't do what they do. So talk about, why you study this, or you looked at it when it was like, but even before I looked at it, I think, you looked at
Yeah.
it when it was like 5,000 agents. So how did you, I know why I said no to it for all the years, but why did you kind of dismiss it for the years that you did? And what finally was your tipping point?
Yeah, I mean, I dismissed it for so many years. I think it was 2016. I first sat down with the CEO, and there was only a couple thousand agents. And I sat down with the CEO again in 2018, and I still said no. And I think that it does come back to my core of wanting to be part of something where it has like that kind of Coca-Cola recognition or that name brandedness. And I have to admit that's how I've always been. I'm not, and the good thing is I'm still staying true to that, because the fact of the matter is eXp all of a sudden is like, it's going to be bigger than Keller Williams. It's going to be bigger than those behemoth brands that are out there. It's already, I think, double the size of Compass at this point. So, having the name brand recognition mattered so much to me. And now almost as by default, I'm getting that brand recognition anyway. But I will say that, the strength in numbers definitely helped my rationale for finally having the courage to come on board.
Yeah. So let's unpack a little bit. You mentioned kind of agent attraction and, what you have the opportunity to do through revenue share, residual income at eXp. And I want to unpack this part of the conversation in a way that, agents understand it's not all about this, but this is a legitimate exit strategy. Like in a industry that has nothing but a transaction treadmill to offer agents, this is a legitimate exit strategy. So let's talk about agent attraction a little bit, why you're excited about it, why your sponsor matters, and who you're partnered with. So kind of give us your thoughts about agent attraction and why you're excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a multi-part question. I mean, there's so many good points within there. I think, for let's say most agents, they have to realize, and anybody at eXp as well, that the whole agent attraction component or the revenue sharing portion of it is still a traditional real estate brokerage, in the sense that we want to service clients, sell and buy properties. That's the main, focus of the business still. And, of 75,000 agents, I think only like 10 or 15% of us are trying to bring agents onto the brand. So I think the thing to keep in mind is, the way I look at it is I'm going to still do my core business. I'm still going to sell a lot of homes. And then my side hustle, if you will, is going to be bringing people onto the brand, because the thing to keep in mind is, obviously, when I decided to jump on board eXp, it wasn't just a cavalier decision. It was interviewing the right people within the brand, within the organization, such as yourself, Lars, and then John Mikish, and of course I had to get the confidence vote from my team members, Kristen and Alex, who've been instrumental in this decision as well. But I think where I'm going with this is, there's people in real estate, people who aren't in real estate don't understand that there's no such thing as a retirement party for realtors. You basically just go to their funerals. I mean, I'm dead serious. There's people who will sell until the day they drop. And the reason is because it's linear income. You sell a home, you make money, and that's that. And every single year, even in spite of selling, X millions of dollars a year, I still have the same anxiety that a brand new agent would have, because we have to hit the reset button. We start at zero every single year. And as a matter of fact, every single day you help someone buy that property, they're in there. And there's no guarantee that they're going to work with you again. There's no guarantee that they're going to sell for maybe 20 years before they sell. So I think that the logical concept of having the opportunity to bring people into the brand and participate in a portion of what they make, as opposed to the top dog or the CEO of the brand making all the money. The whole adage is like, they make all the money, we sell all the homes, and they have that comfort level. But this is the kind of idea of, being able to still do what I do, my core competency, but then having that opportunity to capture something as I eventually ease off the gas pedal and have something to give in perpetuity to my family when I eventually do retire like a normal professional.
Yeah, I don't think my kids quite get how simple their life could be. Like they're just going to have to get a real estate license and kind of just play around with real estate a little bit in order to have this asset pass on. But
Yeah.
I want to talk about something you said, and somebody explained it to me this way. It's so let's take a franchise. Doesn't matter the franchise. They're going to go out. There's typically the national franchisor, right? They're going to go recruit some regional people. Let's say you're starting from scratch. You know, the person that comes up with the concept, they're going to sort of have the regional people they get recruited. The regional people are going to get some local franchise operators who are going to hire some staff, including recruiters, who are going to recruit some agents. The agents then go out and sell homes. The only money coming in outside of some affiliate income from the office are all the homes that sell. Those commission checks and the splits, which are typically a whole lot more than eXp, are paying all the levels. So people that don't really understand their own model pick on eXp's model, and all of those organizations off the top have a royalty, right? So but before the local franchise owner makes any money, all of the agents are paying, and Keller Williams used that as an example, $3,000 to KWRI, 6%, whether the market center they're in makes a single penny. And so, but now you give them the opportunity to do the same thing for themselves. The thing that has created multi-billionaires over and over and over again in every other pyramid, because they're all pyramids. Now we have the opportunity to build our own little organization, and people are up in arms about it. So when I say all of that, what's your take on it? Is that sort of how you wrapped your head around this? Because when I learned that, I'm like, oh, this is not that complicated.
No, it's not complicated at all. And I think a lot of people who have that, preconception of, well, geez, this is a pyramid scheme, or this is something where only certain people are going to make money. And then, people towards the bottom are just going to be kind of falling off a cliff kind of thing. It's number one, it's abundant. It's so not true. I mean, first of all, there wouldn't be a publicly traded corporation on the NASDAQ if it were a pyramid scheme. So EXPI is a publicly traded company. And, as far as eXp, the brand is concerned, I mean, the reality is a lot of times scenarios where like a brand is, something's brand new and people need to sell in order to kind of keep it going. I mean, eXp has been around for 10 years. It's only recently that, people who are new to the brand, who are basically the money that you bring in, or the residual income you're able to generate, is directly proportional to the amount of energy and effort you put into it. So there's no such thing as a pyramid scheme, because the fact is all that money, like you had said, had gone up to, the top dogs at, whether it's Keller or Remax or some of the other brands. I mean, now it's just getting redistributed to the agents because we have no bricks and mortar. We have a cloud-based server or system. It's phenomenal. And it cuts out so many extra unnecessary costs. And so the difference, is really the purest and simplest way to explain it is we get paid on the top level versus it's just revenue share. It's true revenue share. As an accounting brain, I can conceptualize this very easily. So the revenue share is paid on the top level, and profit sharing is paid on the very bottom level. And that's what Keller Williams chooses to do, because they basically have to pay the secretaries, the janitors, the admin, whoever it is, and then see if they come up with any money at the end of the day to share. That's the only difference. And it's an actual, a very easy thing to understand as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and all that's really, really good. Let's talk a little bit about, we went through some of the head reasons. Let's talk a little bit about the heart reasons that you kind of made the move. I know the business you run, the way you run it, you have this off season, on season mentality. So talk a little bit about that, but also talk about how much of a grind it is when you're in season, and talk about the heart behind wanting to do this for an exit strategy. So talk through that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would say that, just the whole heart reasons for the transition to eXp is I saw the level of collaboration and the level of support, how most agents, it's not that way, but there's such a common goal or a common grind, if you will, that someone like yourself, Lars, or John Mikish, or other people within the organization, that is just unparalleled in our industry. It's usually like, you join a real estate company, it's like, here you go. Or like in the old days, they would say, here's your telephone book, go make some calls and, welcome. It's just all smoke and mirrors. The legitimacy behind this brand, once you're on board, is like nothing other. So, I mean, I think that, I have the option for continued autonomy on a day-to-day basis, but I can compare and contrast ideas with people all across the US and let alone all across the globe. But, being within the right branch of eXp has been so beneficial, to the point of, having consistent phone calls, seminars, masterminding with like-minded individuals. And I know I kind of went off on a divergent path. There's another part of this question. Refresh my memory. What was that?
It was kind of the heart reasons, like, so you're playing the game of real estate at a high level, and it's exhausting, right? And you're constantly having to push yourself for 4 months, and then you back off for a couple. And so when you connect the side hustle of revenue share, and just realizing that this is a better platform for 90% of agents out there, what around your heart like fills you up around being willing to sort of add this bolt on to your business?
Yeah, I mean, it's so comforting. But I guess to kind of delve into how my on-season, off-season mentality works is, I mean, I'm 24/7. I've always been that way. I always run in fifth gear, Ferrari driver mentality. But I will say that, once we hit February of a given year, it's full pedal to the metal. So I'll work 7 days a week from February straight into July, and then to kind of have what I said was my off season. But it's part of just a normal ebb and flow and function of the markets. And usually once we get into July and August, that's when summer vacation is. That's when there's fewer homes that come to market. Fewer people are looking to make a move. So I can kind of ease off the gas pedal. I have, we have a house over in Sweden, which is amazing. So I get to go over there every summer for a few weeks and really take that opportunity to unwind a bit and gear up for the fall season, which is September, October, November. And again, logically, December and January, those are the holiday months. It's the, holiday season plus the New Year's. And those are 2 other months. So if you take July and August plus December and January of any given year, I'm able to kind of ease off the gas pedal. So I look at it as like a pro athlete. It's like my off season. It's something where I don't have to like grind as hard. But I'll tell you, when I'm in season and I'm going every single day of the week, to the exclusion of a lot of, like, I hate to admit, some family events here and there, and it's really hard. So I think the whole, gun to the head mentality of like, geez, if I'm not making a sale, like I'm putting my family in financial distress to a degree. And I know that may seem extreme to some people, but I really do feel that way. I really feel that, like, if I'm not consistently making sales, if things aren't going all the time, and even in my off season, I'm still thinking business a lot, but now I have an opportunity to, to partner with you guys to revenue share, and to kind of have that level of consistent non-linear income, which is considered something that most industries have. Like the insurance industry, they have residual income. My financial planner, he gets residual income based on my portfolio balance. We have nothing at all like that. And people who are in the business and who just don't even want to come to terms with that, I feel bad for them. And honestly, like, I almost feel bad for myself for the past few years, because I never thought about, I thought about it for the past few years, but I never took the plunge until now. So it's never too late. And I think it's such a good way to supplement what we have as real estate agents. One thing also I wanted to point out, gosh, I mean, my healthcare, which is a terrible thing for real estate agents. We really have, it's so hard to get healthcare, which is crazy. I mean, it's hard to get a reasonably priced healthcare. I'll put it that way. I've been paying over $2,000 a month. The minute I joined eXp, it dropped by like $900 per month. And it's a real legit healthcare company. So I've got that. You have the opportunity for stock, and the stock for eXp actually split a year ago. I actually owned eXp when it was $4 a share, and I don't even remember what it has gone up to, but I unfortunately sold when it was hovering around $4. But I mean, there's a way that, when you're selling homes through eXp, you're getting money back in the form of stock if you can hit the icon status. So there's a lot of reasons to do this, and a lot of things I can talk about in person with people over the phone.
That is awesome. And we're going to wind it down here in a second. But I talked to another Compass agent, $60 million Compass agent that came over for all the same reasons that you did, felt the same about Compass, knew that it was sexy and all that. But on their healthcare alone, they went from $2,200 a month to $800 a month under eXp's healthcare plan. that is what, 14. So it's $1,400 a month. So 14, well, that's like $17,000 a year of
Yeah.
savings,
Yep.
and for better coverage. And so I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's another thing. A third of agents have no healthcare, and a third are paying a third party probably twice as much as they need to.
That's it.
One thing I want to mention, and to finish your athlete analogy, that cycle for pro athletes has an end, and it's only the athletes that set themselves up for a graceful exit from whatever sport they're playing. In real estate, there is no such vehicle. There's no one coming alongside us. I mean, you mentioned your financial advisor, so you're making some smart moves with your money, but there is no pot of gold at the end of the real estate sales rainbow. It's just non-existent. And so talk a little bit, actually, I'm going to talk about, you mentioned one of our requirements when you're an Icon agent at eXp. One of the requirements to earn your cap back in stock, there's a requirement called a culture requirement, and most people will train to all the agents in eXp on their best stuff. So unlike most of the franchise models, and independents don't have this at all, there's usually productivity coaching, or there's some other coaching, or you need to go external for coaching. Our top agents, like, you will be training on your best stuff inside eXp world in order to earn your cap back in stock.
Love
which
it.
is
Yep.
which is awesome, because you get to share your best stuff with a whole bunch of agents, and everyone every day is sharing their best stuff. And so I just wanted to mention that. And then also Real Estate B School. So Dan is one of our partners in Real Estate B School. So I made the pivot about 6 months ago to put Real Estate B School on top of the eXp platform. So now Dan is able to plug into Real Estate B School, and anyone that joins with Dan is able to plug into a program that others are paying $22,000 a year for. So I wanted to end with that as well. So what, yeah, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Core focus, selling homes, you covered that. I think you covered your sponsor matters, but what's the best way for people to get in touch with you? Because I don't want anyone to reach out to me. I want you to reach out to someone that isn't me. If anything, I get criticized. Well, like, you have a podcast, or you had a coaching program, but Dan doesn't have any of that stuff, and he's going to crush. He's going to continue crushing real estate. And in fact, I can probably teach you how to sell more homes in less time, and maybe take more times off. But talk about how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, the easiest way to get in touch with me is my cell phone is 617-820-8085, or you can send me an email, which is dan@gorfinklegroup.com. And then lastly, I set up a website through the Real Estate B School, which is partnerwithrebs.com/Dan Gorfinkle. And, to further your point, Lars, I mean, to have the whole suite of services that is like typically $1,800 a month through Real Estate B School is just phenomenal. I mean, I was on a seminar or webinar with Jessica yesterday, and my whole team was on there. And there's so many points on there where you can learn how to stay in touch with your clients. But I mean, now we all know that there's training classes everywhere to whatever degree, but your tried and tested system of bringing some agents from, 100,000 a year up to 200, 250 up to 500. And even I think you had brought someone from $1 million a year up to $3 million a year. That whole suite of services that you offer through your B School is like, it's a no-brainer. You take it carte blanche, you go in, you dive in, and you just start studying and learning this stuff. So I already have kind of my own marching orders, as my team does as well, to start looking into the different modules that you can literally go from any level of real estate to any level above that. It's super exciting.
Yeah, awesome. And I'm just going to make sure everyone got it, because there's a dash. It's www.partnerwithrebs.com /Dan Gorfinkle, Gorfinkle. And it's just going to roll through the entire opportunity, exactly what Dan is building, exactly what you're going to get when you partner with him. You get the cloud-based platform, the proven growth model. We didn't even talk about game changers, which is another massive benefit to partnering with you. And then you've got something here called Learn the Truth, which is just going to walk you through step by step exactly why you're going to want to look at this and look at it with Dan specifically. So, my brother, I want to respect your time, because I know you're in season, and I know you've got to go sell some houses. So I just wish you the best of luck and much love. I want everyone to reach out to Dan to chat with him about why he made the move. He's playing the game at a high level, and have a good conversation with him. Appreciate your brother. Be good.
Awesome. Thank you. Talk soon, Lars. See ya.
Bye-bye.